She told me that Joseph had made her acquaintance very soon after his arrival in Nauvoo, and that he had been visited. She had visited him, her, dozens of times. My husband, Orson Pratt, could not be induced to believe such things of his prophet. Seeing his obstinate incredulity, Mrs. White proposed to Mr. Pratt and myself to put us in a position where we could observe what was going on between herself and the prophet Joseph. We, however, declined this proposition. You have made a mistake in the table of contents of your book in calling this woman Mrs. Harris. Mrs. Harris was a married lady, a very great friend of mine. When Joseph had made this dastardly attempt on me, I went to Mrs. Harris to unbosom my grief to her. To my utter astonishment, she said, laughing heartily, "How foolish you are. I don't see anything so horrible in it. Why, I'm his mistress since 4 years." Joseph Smith, the son of the prophet and president of the reorganized Mormon church, paid me a visit, and I had a long talk with him. I saw that he was not inclined to believe the truth about his father, so I said to him, "You pretend to have revelations from the Lord. Why don't you ask the Lord to tell you what kind of a man your father really was?" He answered, "If my father had so many connections with women, where is the progeny?" I said to him, "Your father had mostly intercourse with married women, and as to the single ones, Dr. Bennett was always on hand when anything happened." Further down, Bennett smiled and said, "Oh, a little job for Joseph. One of his women is in trouble." It was a pretty long instrument of a kind I'd never seen before. It seemed to be of steel and was crooked at one end. I heard afterwards that the operation had been performed, that the woman was very sick, and that Joseph was afraid she might die, but she recovered. The only wives of Joseph that lived in the mansion house were the Partridge girls. This is explained by the fact that they were the servants in the hotel kept by the prophet. When Emma found out that Joseph went to their room, they had to leave the house. Mrs. Pratt states that the prophet had seduced most of them before the date of the declaration, October 1, 1842. Polygamy. Many pure and good women who never would have fallen became his victims through his prophetic pretensions. And I myself, with a slight shudder at the remembrance, was perhaps only saved from his clutches through my devoted love to my husband, who at that time was my all and I his. But leaving aside the character of our ladies, what does the passage referred to by them in the Doctrine and Covenants mean but the strictest injunction of monogamy? Keep yourselves holy for each other and from all others during your lives. What I'm going to go on to is an unrelated letter. This is it. My sweet Emmeline White, you know that my love for you, as David said to Jonathan, is wonderful, passing the love of women. How can that be? You know it is only figurative. I mean, you have my most supreme affections. Poor Emma, in Prince. Oh, that I had yours as truly. May I not hope that it will be so. At all events, be my friend, be my best friend. If you want anything while I am gone, call upon either of my bishops, Vincent Knight or Alanson Ripley, and show them the signature of Old White Hat, and they will provide for you. Do not be afraid to receive anything from me, and these men are confidential. You need not fear to write me, and I do assure you that a few lines would be very consoling on my journey. Sign it, Rosanna, your humble servant, Old White Hat. Okay, that's a Jeraneck approved microcotton bed sheet blocking out the sunlight.